And out front now, Democratic Congressman James Walkinshaw. He's with us as he sits on the Oversight Committee and was inside the room for the depositions of both Bill and Hillary Clinton. And Congressman, I appreciate your time. So now that you've heard President Clinton, do you have more questions about what he knew and when he knew it? Do you believe that he told the truth today?
Well, President Clinton testified for 6 hours today, as both Democrats and Republicans who were in the room have confirmed. He answered every question openly and transparently. I would say that to date, everything President Clinton has said publicly has been consistent with information that's in the files and other information that's public. So there are no inconsistencies in President Clinton's statements, and I'm going to sit down and go through the transcript again with everyone else over the next couple of days when it's released. But my perspective is that he's been consistent.
All right. I want to play something that your Republican colleague, Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna, said. And this goes to the heart of how in the world did Jeffrey Epstein get so much money and have all these people around him, right? Just the big questions there. So she just came out and said it after the Clinton deposition. I wanted to play it for you.
I do believe, and I'm sure some people on this committee also believe, that Jeffrey Epstein was an intelligence asset and running some form of a honeypot operation. I do believe that President Clinton, as well as the secretary, were potentially targets of that operation, and we will leave it at that.
Do you agree?
Well, I think that's a legitimate line of inquiry for our committee and for the investigation. I don't share the Congresswoman's certainty about that. I know that's a topic of great interest, especially in some corners of the internet. I think we should pursue it. I don't think we learned anything today that lends additional evidence to that theory, but it's certainly worth considering and continuing to pursue.
So Democrats are now arguing, and I will say I think this is fair to argue, right? You got Bill Clinton going. He's a former president. He goes and testifies. Like, does that set the precedent for another president to testify? Okay, it seems it does, right? Apples to apples. So we're talking about President Trump. Do you think that your committee will ever hear directly from the sitting president?
I do believe we will. Whether it will be in this Congress or a future Congress, I don't know. But I do believe that at some point in time, President Trump will have to answer questions under oath about Jeffrey Epstein. And, you know, I mentioned President Clinton being consistent with the public record in terms of the statements he's made. Donald Trump has been inconsistent with the public record with statements that he has made. There are documents in the files that have been released, some of which are still illegally redacted, that contradict parts of Donald Trump's story with respect to Jeffrey Epstein. Chairman Comer revealed a piece of conversation in today's deposition where President Clinton was asked about President Trump and Epstein. And I think when the transcript and video is revealed, there will be a lot of interest in the rest of that line of question and conversation that will shed some more light on inconsistencies in President Trump's story.
All right. So I think we're all very eager to see that and to understand exactly what that is, because what we have that came out today about Clinton talking about Trump was about basically Clinton agreeing, supporting Trump's version of events, which is that he and Epstein had a fallout over a land deal before allegations against and were public. Allegations against Epstein were public. So I guess I'm curious. So Clinton's saying, look, we were on the golf course in the early 2000s, and he told me he's no longer friends with Epstein. Now, it does come on the heels of Trump today saying of Epstein, of Clinton, I don't like seeing him deposed, basically taking his side as a president of not wanting to be in that room. Did you find Bill Clinton's defense of Trump's version of events with Epstein to be credible?
Well, I think I would disagree with you a little bit. The story that President Trump has told about his falling out with Jeffrey Epstein is that Epstein was, quote, stealing Mar-a-Lago employees, right, including Virginia Giuffre, who was a child at the time. President Trump has said repeatedly that's why he kicked Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago. I read a document that's illegally redacted by the Department of Justice that gives a different version with respect to Trump kicking Epstein out, or actually never kicking Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago. So I don't think
Well,
President
he's on the
Clinton
membership logs
was
after he said they were no longer friends. I mean, that's...
Yeah, that's right. I think, again, when you review the transcript and compare that to what President Trump has said about Mar-a-Lago and Epstein, there are some inconsistencies there that I think the committee will have to pursue. And I think ultimately President Trump needs to explain that and other pieces of this story under oath. He's claiming to be exonerated. Some of my Republican colleagues today have said President Trump is exonerated. The only way for him to exonerate himself is to sit down under oath and answer every single question truthfully and fully.
And that should not be a partisan thing to say, by the way, right? I mean, it just shouldn't be. It should just be the way, the way that it has to be for anyone. And there are others who should be answering questions in those files as well. One of them may be Howard Lutnick, obviously the sitting Commerce Secretary. Your committee chairman has suggested he may call him in for an interview. You know, Lutnick, of course, said publicly that he went to Epstein's New York home once with his wife when they were neighbors, and he found him to be so depraved, he was so disgusted that he never hung out with him again. He said this to the New York Post. We played it a lot of times. Then it turned out that the files showed that to be untrue. And then Lutnick testified to the Senate that he actually had been to Epstein's island once. Do you want to hear more from him?
Absolutely. Secretary Lutnick should have been in talking to our committee when the files revealed that he had been lying about the extent of his relationship with Epstein. It's clear now that we have the votes on the committee to subpoena Lutnick. It's only because that became clear that Chairman Comer is now saying he'll bring him in. Chairman Comer has resisted bringing Lutnick in, but now that it's clear there's Republican support on the committee to bring him in and we have the votes, I do think it will happen. And look, the challenge with Lutnick is he's in the same position as Trump. He said he had no relationship or a very limited relationship with Epstein. The files and other public documents reveal that's a lie. Donald Trump is in the exact same situation. So if Lutnick's going to testify and Republicans on our committee support Lutnick coming in, they should support Trump coming in.
Yeah, well, that would be apples to apples. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time, Congressman.